Ready?
Mm-hmm. Nothing.
No spark?
Try it again. Nothing. The battery's low too.
Hopefully today we're gonna get this thing started. Something I don't know if I went over in the last video. Not sure if you can tell. See the steering arm, whatever. It's gonna interfere with our exhaust. So our exhaust is gonna do like a little S bend. I'm gonna try to use this thing, which is from a Mark III Supra, but it would have to be all chopped up. And plus that flex unit is really big.
That's what she said.
Today, it's all about this guy. No, not Domino's, but this guy. Come on. This guy right here. This is a jumper harness that I made. These yellow plugs, Toyota Supra yellow plug harness stuff, JZX81 wires. So there's a body connector, body connector, body connector. This is one they have that they use for when you swap a JZ into a Cressida. Cressida, one of its ECU plugs actually comes from the body, not from the harness. So this will plug into the body side JZX81. It should. I test fitted some of these. I don't remember test fitting this one, but all this has been hooked up. These guys are gonna plug in to here. So yeah, so this is the part for the JZ. See, looks just like this one. The reverse of this one, and this one. Yeah, one of them goes right there in the back, right there. I made this grommet. Jeff says it. See if Jeff says it looks like a faucet, like a black faucet, like water would come out of. If you have a dirty mind, it looks like something else.
That's what she said.
Oh, no, not that. Just come on, you guys. Let's do it.
This is what this looks like. It's a 3D printed TPU filament. This is what it looks like on the inside. I used like 10% infill. Infill is like how much stuff is inside of it, and it makes it whether or not it's squishy. Ooh, the car is so hot. Ah, fuck, the car is so hot. I was about to go to the auto parts store and get a new terminal here, but then I remembered back in the trunk they had a battery relocation and they got two of these, like brand new. So I'm gonna use these.
You're so cheap, you're wholesale.
Alright, well shoot, I don't know if the starter wire is gonna fit. It's big. It's big.
That's what she said. Oh my god, what am I saying?
So hot. Why did I start at noon? What was I thinking? It's so hot. A little loosey goosey. Alright. Cool. Alright, the next stage of our evolution is to put some gear oil in the old transmission. This thing takes 3.2 quarts. I wasn't going to buy another one just to do 0.2 quarts. So I'm just going to put 3 in.
Chief fucker.
When it comes time to drift this thing, I was going to drain it, do it again, or put the 0.2 in then. What's funny is this stuff is usually a lot thicker, but since it's been sitting in my car in the sun, it's actually softened up a little bit. Yeah, I say that. I think I've always put gear oil in during the winter, so maybe that's always why it's been so thick. Like thicker than like it should be. Whoa. Yeah, good thing the cap was on that thing, huh? Jeff just came out here and told me I have to replace lines. You know, it's kind of something I get upset about. It's like, well, if he would have been out here involved in the process before, I wouldn't have to go and backtrack and replace things. But since he wasn't, he's only coming to it after everything's been done and saying that things need replaced. I now have to replace things, and which make things more difficult on myself. Some stuff with the fuel line, this line has to be cut off because it's a push lock. Same with those down there. It's like, just make things more difficult on me, Jeff. Thank you.
Trying to keep my shop from burning down.
That too.
Somebody's already been beating the shit out of that thing. Nothing. Try it again. Nothing. The battery's low too. But it still should have sparked.
We got the thing cranked. Plugged everything in, tested spark. Igniter works. We got spark. Then the next thing was to plug in the fuel pump and test that. When we turned the key on, I didn't hear the fuel pump. Maybe there's some relays down there by the computer where the circuit opening relay and the fuel pump relay are at that are unplugged. Possibility that the fuel pump is not getting power when the key's on. So when we're out here, Jeff bypassed it. So if you're familiar with Toyotas, you know they have this little diagnostic port. It'll be very hard to see on this type of camera lens, but in there you have FP and plus B. So plus B is power, FP would be, in this case, would be fuel pump. If you jump those two connectors, it automatically turns the fuel pump on. It bypasses, you need key power because plus B, but it bypasses the relays. We did that. You could hear the fuel pump come on, and then our injectors start leaking. None of my lines leaked, none of my line connections leaked, but the injectors start leaking.
Or so he thinks.
So that's kind of what we're doing now, is pulling I'm about to pull the throttle body, then pull the fuel rail to pull the injectors to reseal them. I happen to now already have brand new O-rings and stuff for the build at my house that I was working on. Some other things I've done while kind of waiting around is I installed the power steering reservoir, and it is hooked up to the power steering. Hooked up the clutch line, not to the clutch master, because the clutch master has to be bench bled. I was going to remove the plenum, but I can't really get to the cold start injector easily, so I was like, well, I'll just remove the throttle body. You know, make it it's a little tighter with the throttle body, but it's all still possible. They actually cut this gasket out themselves, but it's not in bad condition. Just gotta unhook these lines. Just bolted up the other day. But the way they did the, as you see, the injectors are on the bottom side. Usually the injectors are sitting up top. Usually the harness runs here underneath the throttle body, but they ran it underneath. Not sure why. I guess it's more tidy, but unbolt everything and then lift it up, and then I'll be able to get it. Try to pull these out. Oh, lots of fuel. Now the reason I did that is because I need to get to these O-rings. I mean, not the O-rings, but these plugs. Small rings in at the bottom. Got the top O-rings in. Got my little cup of oil. I think this is a mouthwash cup, but not mouthwashing with oil. Not today.
I said not today.
Need to check for leaks. Alright, so need to jump these two. Well, I don't know if you can see it, but we have a leak from the factory fuel line. It's hard to tell, but I got a line coming in from the factory hard line into a brass coupler, and that line is piston fuel, and it's the stock JZX81 line. What it is it has a hard line, comes from the back, then there's a connector, and then there's a soft line that eventually went to a fuel filter, and it was cut, and I put a connector in there and then connect the rest. But that line halfway in it's got like some type of leak in it, you know, whatever. Just gotta figure out how to unbolt the old line and bolt the new line on. Alright, so this line right here, this is the return. This is supply, and right here on this outer edge of it is where it was just piss and fuel. And it comes back here and bolts into the hard line. So I gotta remove all this shielding right here to get to that. That's cold. That's cold. Oh, it hit a cut. Hit a cut.
Oh, it burns!
Alright, so fitting came in. I forgot to film me putting it on. Here's a picture of the fitting on Amazon that I got. It's on, it's connected. The fuel pump is running. I don't know if you can hear it in here. But the fuel pump is running and no leaks so far. If I listen closely, I can hear it running through the hoses and stuff here. So just gonna let this kind of go for a while. Wear down this battery a little bit, you know. If no leaks, gonna put the throttle body back on. Try to start this thing. Gotta get the fire extinguisher repair. Guess we have meltdown. Alright, I got the throttle body hooked up. I don't know where the fire extinguisher is. That's not good that, like, I don't know where it is. I should always know where it is. Got the water hose out. It doesn't reach all the way over here, but I got it out. Alright, it's weak. The battery's weak.
Well, you can't run it for long because it's going to be shooting flames out of that onto all of that down there.
Right.
So we're going to have to really keep an eye on things.
3, 2, 1. That's what I was worried about.
Go ahead. Battery's too weak.
Yep.
Should have just fired right up.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's gonna crank, just cranking on it won't change anything. Let's not be those people. Let me get the stethoscope and see what's happening.
Go ahead.
Okay.
No injector pulse.
None?
Let me check another one. Alright, let's go. Yeah, no injectors.
Okay.
So you checked by spark. You watched the spark on the thing? That's what, okay, so you didn't check anything to do with injectors then?
This is plugged in? Yeah. It is.
That's the
Injector resistor.
No, not the injector. That's the fuel pump resistor.
Where's the injector resistor?
It's bypassed because he has 550cc injectors in. That's where I don't know. I was trying to ask him, what is this? Because this goes to the injector resistor, and this was an exposed wire. He can't remember what this was for. That's the thing I keep wondering.
Do you have power there at the injectors?
I don't know how will we need a multimeter for that, right? I know the connection from the injectors to the ECU has continuity.
It is continuity.
It's continuous.
So I know if the injectors get power, it will go to the ECU. I guess I should say.
Yeah, you got no power to the injectors, bud.
Well, the key's not on.
Well, that would make sense why you don't have power to the injectors. Right now.
Well, I turned the key off. I didn't want to leave it on. I don't really know if I should. All right.
Yep, that's your problem.
You want to check this? See if it. This is the one that was exposed, like it was plugged into something. I just covered it up because they want to leave an exposed wire.
What is this? On the engine harness?
Yeah. This would go to the fuel injector resistor. This plug, but it's all been like the humans have been in it.
Inserting power like that.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Keys on?
Yeah. What pin was that? What?
The one you're talking about?
Black orange?
Yeah, black orange, so it's already got power. So you don't need to insert power. Okay, cool.
Well,
That's key on.
okay. So there's 4 wires here, because there's 3 power and 3 banks. So power has to go to all the other 3 wires for all the injectors, because it's 2 injectors fire at once.
That's right. You do a plug. You plug that plug in, and then you take those other 3 and you tie them all together, and then you run them to power.
Right.
You just tie them all together.
It's quite simple, really.
Okay.
So this loops for something else.
Okay. So
Yeah, so you're supposed to have a plug for that's got them all tied together.
well, we have the injector resistor in here. We could cut a wire, the thing off. And
You have an extra injector resistor that doesn't matter.
Yeah, I got like 3 of these things. I got plenty in here. We're not trying to start it, are we?
Yeah.
Oh, well, the coil pack needs to be plugged back in.
Hold on, now we'll check for injectors first.
Okay, that's what I was trying to ask. Alright,
Cut the key on.
on.
You got power at the injectors now.
Okay. Key
Hold
off.
on. Hold on, let me get this thing out of the way.
On, and...
Like that hiss at the end.
Yeah.
Like a backfire. If I can start a fire over here. I don't think the fuel pump's working. Go ahead.
It's alive.
It ran until RPM hit 0. So fuel runs. There's a secondary bypass for fuel on Toyota. You know that.
Right.
It works with the starter as well.
Like it comes on for a second,
So
then when you...
mechanically with the starter on the key, and then controlled by the computer.
Right.
It didn't cut off when you cut the starter off. It kept running for some duration after that.
And we don't have the thing plugged in, the paper clip.
Correct.
Right.
So
Okay.
Try it.
It's alive!
I don't want to make it backfire.
Right.
It runs at least.
And I'm assuming it won't stay running because there's...
Yeah, the map's not even hooked up.
Well, it's hooked up, but it's not connected though.
Right. It shouldn't be right
Right.
now. It shouldn't even be running. It shouldn't stay running now.
Right.
It should die. It's doing what it's supposed to do.
Okay. So success though.
So I can put all my equipment up, huh?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Success.
Now I know what it feels like to be God.
Alright, so the car is now back in its tent. Not sure if you could see in the footage that I have last night, but the car ran. I mean, it started and ran. It started and ran for like 2 seconds, then killed. That's because nothing's hooked up to the throttle body. But yeah, one of the other issues we kind of came across last night was so this car has 550cc injectors, but it has high impedance injectors. No, low impedance injectors, so it doesn't need the injector resistor, which is usually plugged in right here. So we just jumped all these wires, and that's what made it work. So what I've done is took a injector resistor, cut it off, looped all the wires together, and that's going to get plugged in right here. And now it's good to go. But yeah, that's it for this video on the JZX81. Now that we know it runs, I can hook up intercooler piping, which I have. I just didn't feel like I have stuff I have to get going and doing in New Orleans, so I couldn't keep working on this thing. But hook up intercooler piping, not an intercooler, just hook intercooler so it can continuously run. Figure out an exhaust issue, like to get the exhaust routed. Figure out the alternator stuff, yeah. So like, there's the alternator wire and the power wire that goes to the alternator. That's all hooked on this side because that's where the JZ is. So it has to be routed over here. And now that I know all that runs and works, I can then slice this open and pull that over there and kind of wire up the alternator. Because if the alternator is routed and the exhaust is and the intercooler is hooked up, the car can then stay running. And it will charge a battery. And then after that, hook up a battery location kit. And then the car's, and then it's like, let's bleed the clutch some more. And then it's like, let's put a seat in it. All these things lead to it running. And then it's like, now that we have it where it can run, now let's get the radiator and let's get the radiator support. Let's get that going and hook up a fan. And then it's like every step to get this thing where it's on its own. And once it's able to drive around the yard, hopefully the axles will be done. But there's lots of things that gets in the way of that, lots of things that I have no control over because the car is here. If the car was at my house, I could just work on it more continuously. But I'm beholden to the homeowner and his property and what he will allow me to do. So yeah, so it just kind of all depends on those things, those factors. But yeah, that's it for this video. If you like the content, like and subscribe to Buku Auto. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I'll try to answer them. Anyway, I gotta go. This thing's giving me problems. Bye-bye.